floating friends, welcome to the 2024 Mackinac Island Swim Safety Briefing. I would just like to take this first opportunity to say, read your event packet, folks. A lot of what I go over in this video is just going over what the event packet says. There's always a lot of anxiety that comes with events like these, and I think you owe it to yourself to understand the information that we give you in order to ease that burden. So please just read that event packet, or at least watch this video a few times, so you come to the event understanding all of the moving parts that are involved with this race. I mean event, it's not a race. Let's get started. First things first, let's talk about these mandatory items we have. Wetsuits are mandatory for this event, with one exception. You may do this one without a wetsuit if you have a registered kayaker with you. Many of the die-hard open water swimmers prefer to do this without a wetsuit, or those that want to adhere to the marathon swimming guidelines. This is why we give you that option to do so as long as you have a kayaker with you. This swim is very unique in that you have the ability to have a support crew follow you around the island from the bike path on the shoreline. Unless you want to do this swim without a wetsuit, please understand that you can have support throughout basically the entirety of this event without having a kayaker next to you. I get a lot of questions regarding wetsuits in general. Those with a triathlon background are familiar with the most popular style of swimming wetsuits. This is probably the most comfortable and highest performing, but we're really just looking for you to have something to help control your body temperature for the 4+ hours of swimming that you're going to be in the water. Shorty wetsuits are fine. If you have multiple wetsuits, I suggest bringing them to the start line. You can make the decision the morning of the event. We do have a bag drop available at the start line. The other thing is you'll need to have a swim buoy. We'd appreciate it if you wrote your name and an emergency contact on there as well. This is just another good visual for us to be able to find where all our swimmers are at. Next, you'll need to make sure you guys have a cap. This is something you will get at packet pickup. This is how we differentiate our individual swimmers versus our relay swimmers. And lastly, a whistle. You guys will receive a whistle at packet pickup as well. We'd appreciate it if you return this whistle at the end of the swim. Next, let's talk a little bit about the ferry. I'm not going to go into great detail about this. There already is a YouTube video explaining all of the ferry logistics for those that are going to the island before Sunday and those that are going to the island on event morning. Number one thing you really got to know is that you need to buy a ferry ticket from sheplersferry.com, and you need to use the code MISWIM24. That goes for all swimmers and kayakers. Okay, let's talk event morning. For those staying on the mainland, I'm going to refer you again back to that other video. I talk a lot about the logistics for that morning. What you need to know is that ferry leaves at 6:30 a.m. with or without you. If you need to purchase tickets for your kayak or for your bike and you hadn't done so, there is going to be a last minute option. You can purchase them at the ticket window that morning, but please plan some extra time if that's what you're planning on doing. And to be honest, I would not plan on doing that. I would get that done the day before. Okay, I just want to quick clarify something. Some of this video was recorded last year and I'm just editing it in because a lot of the stuff is the same. I just said something there about purchasing a last minute kayak ferry ticket. That's not going to apply to you guys. You guys will get your kayak ferry ticket at packet pickup. Unless you rented a kayak, then you don't have to worry about that at all. Okay, next on the agenda is bathrooms. If you're on the mainland in the morning, your best option for bathrooms is going to be at Shepler's Docks. Once they get there to open up for that 6:30 a.m. ferry, they will open up those bathrooms, and that is going to be your best bet for bathrooms that morning. They will also have the island side Shepler's bathrooms open, but they will not be opened until that ferry gets over there. So for you island people that are looking for a bathroom, that's not going to be available till at least 7 a.m. If you're on the island and you are looking for another bathroom, there will be a bathroom at the Visitors Center, which is located on the far west end of the marina. On a different note, for those that need to rent bikes on the island, the Mackinac Bike Barn is going to open up at 7 a.m. that Sunday. They're going to be the only one that opens up early. Everybody else opens up at 8 a.m. So if you want to have bikes available to you before the start of the swim, I would suggest popping into the Mackinac Bike Barn. Talk a little bit about kayaks. We have a new staging area for the kayaks this year. It will be at Windermere Point, not the start line. This is only a couple hundred yards from the ferry docks. Yeah, you may bring these here by yourself, or you may have our volunteer team do this for you by dropping them off at Shepler's Ferry in Mackinac City between 2 and 3 p.m. on Saturday. I go over this in the other YouTube video that I mentioned earlier. Another thing to note is that all of the rental kayaks will be here already by Sunday morning, and the owner of Mackinac Straits Kayaking will be getting you set with your rental from here. For kayakers on event morning, you will be entering the water from this shoreline here at the staging area, and you'll be directed to a point north of the swimmer turnaround area. The only exception for this is if you are kayaking for a swimmer that's doing the 7-mile loop. You will need to enter the water there as soon as possible and kayak the half-mile to the start line. Or your other option is to walk your kayak to the start line. However, this area can get rather congested. So if you could plan to just get in the water and paddle over to the start line, that's probably your best option. Now that we've covered the kayaking portion, let's get back to the swimmers. On the way to the swim start, you guys will notice there is a bag drop. This is going to be located near the public school. This will just be a spot in the lawn where everybody can drop their bag. Make sure that you have it labeled. There will be luggage tags available at packet pickup. Put your bib number on there, please. Once everybody's in the water, a horse and carriage will come by and we will load that up with all the bags and we will bring them to the finish line. So on the way to the start line, we need you guys to start organizing yourself in a few groups. The 7-mile route group and the 8.2-mile route group. For the 7-mile group, you guys are just going to line up on the north side of the beach and we will start you with everybody else. For the 8.2-mile group, you guys are going to be a much bigger group and we want you to line up according to an estimated time. We will have volunteers there holding up signs with estimated times, basically in half-hour to hour increments based on when you think you can finish. If it's 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. We will get you guys started at 8 a.m. and you guys will be entering the water about 2 swimmers at a time. This can take a little bit. It is very rocky. We will do our best to have as many volunteers helping people into the water as possible. Okay, so now that we've talked about the start and the kayaker situation, let's talk a little bit about the swim. So as far as safety goes, you guys will have kayakers, boaters. I think we're going to have a couple jet skis this year. We also have the Coast Guard out there. You have your whistle. If something happens and you guys feel like it's an emergency, please blow that whistle. We will get someone to you. You also have 40 to 50 other kayakers that are assisting other swimmers. I would imagine that they are going to be willing to help you as well. There are going to be lifeguards on all of the boats. You also have lifeguards that will be roaming around the island trying to keep eyes on you. And there are going to be paramedics roaming the island as well. So as far as course markers go for the swim route, there's going to be 2 big triangle ones. Those are going to be kind of your sight lines and your turnaround. Swimmers are going to keep these buoys on their right. And then as we spread out, there's going to be buoys indicating where relay exchanges are and where aid stations are. The green buoys are relay exchanges and the orange buoys are aid stations. In some cases, you're going to have an orange and a green buoy in the same spot, indicating both. It's also important to note that the very first relay exchange is the start line. It's just that 1-mile loop. There's not going to be a buoy there. Just know that if you are doing that relay exchange, you are just going back to the start line. During the swim, please make sure you guys are staying between the boats and the shoreline. When I say boats, I'm not talking about necessarily the kayaks. I'm talking about our support boats out there and the Coast Guard. The shoreline is very rocky everywhere, so there's really not an easy spot to exit. Understand this, so when you guys are doing your relay exchanges, it might take a little bit. Just be patient with each other. And then, important thing to know, if you guys are exiting the water before the finish, you guys need to alert a volunteer. There's also a number there for you guys. If you have your phone with you, or if you have a kayaker that has a phone with them, please text that number and let them know that you are out. This is just an extra safeguard for us, so we know how many swimmers we have in the water and who has already exited the water. Your aid stations, there are going to be 2 of them. These are marked by an orange buoy, like I had said before. This is going to be at mile 3 3/4 and mile 6. At these aid stations, you will have some nutrition, water, sports drink. If you don't think you can survive on the aid stations alone, please make sure you guys are packing your buoys with some more nutrition, more water, or you have your kayaker. Make sure they have enough extra stuff for you and for themselves as well. As far as the relay exchanges go, like I said, you are going to be looking for green buoys. There are 5 relay exchange areas. The start line is 1. Then there's going to be one at about 2 miles. The British Landing one, which is 3 3/4. You're going to have another a mile after that. The next one is that next aid station, and that is actually the last one. There is a relay exchange chart in your event packet that kind of goes over the distance between each exchange. Just figure that out with your team beforehand. Decide who's going what, where you guys are going to meet. When you are doing these relay exchanges, make sure that you are exchanging your bib. Your bib has the chip on it. That lets us know that your relay started the swim and ended the swim. And then a last note on the relays. The only relays that will not be making those relay exchanges at the relay exchange site are those that have a kayak with them. And what I mean by that is there are some relay teams, let's say a team of 2 that has 1 kayak with them. They're going to be just flopping in and out of the kayak, making exchanges however they want. The reason we do that and allow that is because these relay exchanges are set up to avoid private property on the island and keep all the residents on the island happy. There's nothing wrong with making exchanges in the water. Therefore, we're going to allow that with the kayaks this year. If you do not have a kayak with you, please do not make exchanges like this, okay? We need to be doing our relay exchanges at the relay exchange areas. Next thing I just want to touch base on a little bit is the weather. Obviously, this is something that we cannot control. We will do everything it is that we have in our power to get this event going and moving smoothly. In the unlikely event of a thunderstorm, something like that, we would obviously have to cancel. But everything else, we are going to try to get things going and get you guys in that water and swimming. That being said, you guys need to be prepared, especially you kayakers. Be prepared for rain. Be prepared for waves. Sometimes the weather that you have at 8 in the morning is nothing like the weather you have at noon. Most of you guys are still going to be in the water at noon. Just be prepared for everything. That goes for all of you, including your family and friends that are probably going to be biking or walking around the island. Be prepared for all of it. Next thing to discuss is going to be that finish line. There will be a buoy placed out by the break wall. That buoy is there for you to get that full 8.2 miles. Some people aren't too concerned about it and they go straight to the finish line, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to get that full 8.2 miles, make sure you go to that turnaround buoy. Another thing to add about that finish line is it is rocky, same as the start line. There's going to be volunteers helping you guys out of the water. The best method we've found is just floating as far as you can to as shallow as you can before you start getting out of that water. It might seem silly to have some footwear in your swim buoy for 8 miles, but you may appreciate having it at that finish line. Just be patient and try to take your time. Last thing we want is for you guys to twist your ankle after just swimming for 5 hours. So the finish line is a fundraiser, guys. It is a fundraiser for the Mackinac Women's Club. Simply put, we support them because they support their community. There's going to be raffles, merchandise for sale. There's going to be some silent auctions. The money that you place towards the beer, all of that goes to support the Mackinac Women's Club.
This is a celebration for your accomplishments. You guys are going to be among all your friends. Please enjoy each other's company and celebrate your achievements and all the training you have done. That's what this event's all about. I've said this so many times. This is not a race. We're going to acknowledge a few people that get across that finish line first. We're going to give them a humble pie. But other than that, we're not out here racing. We are out here enjoying each other's company and really just enjoying the venue. That's what this event is all about. So please enjoy it.